Well, it's been a minute. It always been a minute. So I'm going to just go straight to it. This episode is going to be about depression. Now, I done one a few months back, and it was not my best. So I'm redoing it. And I didn't even keep it up for long. I kind of like archived it, which is like made it only to where I can see it. So yeah, let's just get straight to it. Depression is very serious, yet is very overlooked in many cases. And I know that to be true through my experience with depression. I have been experiencing depression since a child. It's been a build-up for me. I didn't know the terminology. I always just knew how to describe the feeling without giving it a term. And just saying that alone makes me meditate as of right now and realize that I wouldn't say logic. I wouldn't use that term logic. What word can I use to replace? There's a difference between... Okay, I can use logic until I come up with the term that I really want to use. There's a difference between being knowledgeable of something or being... When someone is schooling you on something, it's a difference from when someone's telling you and when you're experiencing it for yourself. Let me put it that way. And it is totally different because my interpretation from other people was that depression is stress. That's how I look, and it is a part of stress. Stress is an element. And I looked at it just as that, nothing more, nothing less. So the more I got in tune with myself this year, the more I identified the details, the vivid details at that of depression, just based off my experience. And I'm like, wow, it's way deeper than what it appears to be in the public eye. So that's what made me want to talk about depression in this episode, even if that means redoing the episode. Because the first episode I've done on depression came from in the moment of anger. Like literally so much was going on that day. And I was like, I don't edit my videos. I just do it straight through. Not videos, but my recordings. I go straight through it. I don't premeditate. I might write down bullet points. It depends on the topic. But other than that, I'm not going to be adding additional time to edit my recordings. And when I start doing videos, I'm not going to edit that either, unless it's for like creative reasoning. But before I stray from the topic, depression. Let me start off by examples. Depression is when sometimes someone may not want to get up from the bed. They want to stay in the bed all day because they don't have enough strength to get up. They don't have no reasoning, no motivation, and no drive to even get up. They want to stay in the bed. They're forcing themselves to get up, maybe if it's due to they have to do something. Just know it will be a force if they do get up. They're forcing themselves to get up. Or some people would just be so drained to the point that they just stuck in the bed. Just completely stuck lying in the bed. And I want to make a disclaimer right quick. My uncle is snoring so loud, so please disregard him if y'all hear him. Hopefully, if I go back and look at this, listen to this episode, y'all don't hear him snoring, and I don't hear him. Hopefully, I don't hear him either. Hopefully. But yeah, back to the point. Some people with depression, I'm not going to say everyone because it varies. Some people with depression don't want to get up. Point, period, blank, at all. Some people don't even want to dress themselves up when they're deep in depression. Some people don't even want to take baths, take showers, brush their teeth, get their hair did, hair cut, hair trimmed, whichever preference of hair style needed in that moment or wanted in that moment. Don't want, it's not even a recommendation to the mind at all. The mind is just completely, I wouldn't use the word drain, but just don't even want to work at that moment of depression. Just don't want to do anything. If you're in school, you don't want to go to school. You don't want to study. You don't want to make the effort to do anything, to improve anything. Just want to be in a position where you can just tune every single thing out. Everything. Every single thing. And you, to the point that you don't even want to talk. Whether it's urgent or not, you don't even want to talk. You don't want to even express yourself because you feel like people is going to overlook you. People are just going to tell you, well, I'm going through something too. We are going through something. Deal with it like the rest of us. That's part of the reason why a lot of people do not talk about depression, because they have those stumbling blocks. And yes, those people that says those things and treat people like their feelings doesn't matter, or depression itself doesn't matter, those people are stumbling blocks, and those are negative people you do not need in your life, and remove them expeditiously in my TI voice. Like, please remove them. You have people like that. I had someone tell me, oh, you just got a sad life. You should just take a knife and just slice your wrist or slice your throat. They was trying to be sarcastic, but at the same time, that's very disrespectful. And I don't know if I ever said it in any of my episodes, but pay attention to jokes, because there's some truth that can stem from jokes as well as any other form of communicating. Whether you're having a serious conversation or you angry, any form of expression is expressing some form of meaning behind communication. So be mindful of when people joking to you and how they're going about joking. Approach is everything. I tell people all the time, and once I talk about the chakras, I'm going to dab more into that. But for now, let's continue. People, like, this person really said that, and I was just like, really? You really say that? And that it just comes to show how that person particularly feels about me. And to be quite frank, I really don't have anyone to look. I have no one to look up to but the Almighty, thyself, Aliyah. So when it comes to digging myself out of depression, I really have to let go and let the Almighty take that course, because when I'm in a deep depression, that the one that's inhaling and exhaling through me gets me through depression. Literally no one else. There's over 7 billion people on this planet, and I'm quite sure I have a lot of family members. No one helps me dig myself out of that. And when I was younger, I used to complain about that. But now that I'm wiser, I don't complain at all. I look at that as that maybe that was the only way for me to be independent, is to not depend on anyone or to not have access to any form of dependence. And I definitely did not have any form of access to dependence growing up. I was literally forced through experience to be independent. And as certain situations built up, depression grew within me. I used to always stress myself out and be like, oh, how come no one can be here for me for this? How come I don't have access to this and that? How come when I want to talk about my problems, people have a closed ear. But when they want to talk to me about theirs, they expect for my ears to be wide open like the web. And it's just hypocritical, it's hurtful, and it's manipulative, because they will make it seem manipulative in a way that it becomes gaslighting. They will make it seem like, oh, you just been over dramatic, you over exaggerating, you just, it's all in your head. When in actuality, it's all in my face through the actions of the people that I'm interacting with. And it's like, it's really, what was a sad situation became a learnable situation. So the only way I can fix this is to make sure I don't pass down the same experiences I experienced. If these experiences is to be passed down, it will be passed down in a way that has been not necessarily demonstrated, but illustrated in like a warning, a conscious purpose behind it. Not necessarily, okay, let me put someone through this because I've been through it. That's how trauma builds. That's how trauma is introduced. That's not cool whatsoever. And I've been around people who done that. They're like, oh, I've been through this, I've been through that, so I feel like everybody should be punished. And that is so foul for that to even be stimulated through the mind, and not that alone, but to be acted out upon the surroundings that this person may be in. It's even devastating within itself. So I just used to always wonder and question the lack of dependence that I did not have growing up. And it took the Almighty to send someone my way who, see, sometimes the Almighty would send someone, a reflection of you, to spark something within your mind to elevate, to look at yourself and meditate and be like, oh, I see. And that's what it was for me. That's what it took for me. Someone literally I interacted with will always complain. I don't got nobody. Everybody failed me growing up. This, that, and this. And to the point, I started to feel like, wow, they complaining too much. And then I had to stop myself and say, wow, like, I'm really irritated by myself, because this is stuff I used to say. It's like at that moment, it's like I was listening to myself on a tape recorder. Now I know that's old school. The youngest don't know nothing about no tape recorder, but fortunately I do, because not of the year I was born into, but my mother, she introduced me to it. So yeah. Anyway. Yeah, so it was like I was listening to a tape recorder, and that really was like a self-check moment for me. And I was like, okay, I can see how this can be irritating to hear it over and over again. And it ain't no telling who I irritated telling that to. So that was like a self-check moment for me. And I used that opportunity to approve myself rather than just to make excuses, if that makes any form of sense. So one thing that I had to reevaluate is my approach. Once again, the approach. So I went from saying I wish people would have been there to saying I'm thankful that I didn't have people, because they gave me the opportunity to learn how to be there for myself. It gives me the opportunity to help other people by showing them this is how it's done when you have no access to getting it done through the lack of help of others. So I now have that advantage. I now have that comprehension installed in me through my experience. And when I talk about, I mention experience a lot, and I'm going to tell y'all why when I talk about my numerology chart. I recently just got truly informed and involved in numerology. I was in the beginning of the year, but like on a deeper level now. So like I stated in previous episodes, what I learn I will display to my audience. That's the least I can do. That's the least I can contribute to my presence being on this earth. So experience is a major key for me. And if it wasn't for me acknowledging the experiences that I experienced, my depression probably would be worse. Ain't no probably about it. It definitely would be worse, because it was getting to that point, to the point that I was questioning my existence. I'm like, why do you have me here? As in the Almighty. And I was just angry. I was like, I didn't ask to be here. I feel forced to be here. It's not right. Could at least gave me an option, gave me a choice. I wasn't even given that. I was just like thrown into the wolves, forced to fend for myself. Just so angry and saying stuff like that, and was just overly unstably. Yeah, I was unstable with my emotions, and it to the point where I was stressing myself out to levels I didn't even know I can reach, and to even the point where suicide was even a thought. Like, people, I wouldn't even say people. Okay, I can, because I know what I'm going to say. To the point where suicide was a thought, and I began to really analyze why people even commit suicide. I'm like, I see why now, because woo, it can be very, very, very depressing being somewhere you simply didn't ask to be. And what helped me in that very given moment, I know my inner voice is what inhale and exhale through me, which is the Almighty. I'm telling y'all. Because I said it without premeditating. And that's how I know the difference between me and the Almighty. Even when the Almighty using my voice, I still know it's the Almighty, because the way about the approach of that communication is different. Our styles of communicating is different. My communication is premeditated. I'm going to say it in my head before I say it out loud. Even within my head, I'm going to premeditate what I'm going to say before I say it. Like, that's how premeditated I am. So when it comes to the Almighty does not premeditate anything. The Most High is just straightforward, like a rushing mighty wind. And that rushing mighty wind that's been described is the motion of the Almighty, by the way. So catch that drift. So, like, in that very given moment, as soon as when I was just saying that out of anger, the next thing that came out of my mouth, which was not premeditated, that's how the Almighty works. The closest form of communication you will have with the Almighty is through your own voice, whether it's your inner voice or your outer voice. Peep that. So, as soon as when I said I didn't ask to be here, this is stressful and stuff like that, I followed up with saying, well, I like pizza and I never asked for pizza to be created. And I was like, what? Why did I say that? When in actuality, I should say, well, I eventually did say, wow, that's how the Almighty communicate. That's how the Almighty works. Wow. No flesh and bone ever told me this. This is something I had to experience on my own. Right then and there, I learned how the Almighty worked. I wouldn't even use the word work, but how the Almighty reflects thyself, glorify thyself. And I was just like, wow. Amazed is the understatement to describe that moment. So I was like, that's true. And it might be quirky or whatever to some people to hear that, but that's true. There are some things I do adore about. There's things I adore within this world that I never asked for, but I still adore it. And it's like, and the Almighty was telling me, if you can adore those things, how come you cannot adore the life you didn't ask for? Find out what's making you say this. And I'm like, wow. And all this was my inner voice, which is the one that's inhaling and exhaling through me, that even formulates, and that's even the reasoning why I even have a voice overall. So I was like, wow. And that's part of the reason how I got introduced to meditating. Was I stopped ignoring my inner voice. I stopped saying, shut up, whatever. Yeah. Like, in actuality, I was literally telling the Almighty to shut up. How I treat myself is how I treat the Almighty. And I just want to let the audience, everyone that's listening, How you treat yourself is a reflection of how you treat the Almighty. I kid you not. Cross my heart and hope to die if I'm lying. How you treat yourself is how you feel and how you're treating the Almighty. So I had to stop being mean to myself. I had to stop saying just hurtful things and neglecting myself. And once I stopped doing that, that's when marvelous things start to happen to me. And I'm like, that ain't nothing but the Almighty. And when I tell you that helped me with, I still battle with depression, but now I have a backbone. See, before then I wasn't using my backbone. My backbone is the Almighty, of course, but the tools that the Almighty use, which people fail to realize, people love to credit the Almighty for everything, but don't want to give out the tools that the Almighty gave to them. And that part is not right. Like, let's say if someone was in a hospital and they had cancer, like 4-stage cancer, and all of a sudden they got cured. All they would say is, "Oh, the Almighty delivered me from cancer. I had 4-stage cancer. I could have died, but I was delivered." They gave the Almighty credit, but the purpose of the Almighty okay. Let me calm down. The purpose of the Almighty, even doing that, was for you to pass down a message. There was a message through your experience. It's okay to credit the Almighty, but what's not okay is to leave out the details that the Almighty gave to you to give to others. Yeah, you had 4-stage cancer and all of a sudden you cured, but what's the steps you took? You went from going to the primary doctors to a holistic doctor. The Almighty, since you forgot to tell people that part, you forgot to tell people that someone that was cured from cancer came to you and all of a sudden and said, "Hey, have you tried a Mayo Clinic? Have you tried a holistic doctor?" That part is what people leave out. We leave out the details. We leave out the tools that can help others when we credit the Almighty. See, when you just say, "Oh, the Almighty healed me from this," that's half credit. What was the steps the Almighty used? Because the Almighty used steps just like we do. Because with the Almighty install in us is what we should pass down to others. I'ma just put it that way. So before I forget, these are the tools that I use for depression. To control my depression. Let me put it that way. I started meditating. And sometimes I can be so deep in the depression that meditating don't always work. So what I would do, I would find what makes me happy within a moment. I like listening to music, especially when it's loud. But what type of music though? See, I love I love all genres of music. But it's a particular, it have to be very precise, especially when I'm deep in depression, when I don't want to get out the bed, when I don't want to get up at all. I have to listen to I have to listen to music with strong positive substance in it. I can't listen to turn up music when I'm in a deep depression. That's not gonna work. I'm still gonna be heavy within my rational processing in my head. My inner voice in my head is just spinning, and it's premeditated. So that's how you know it's me and not the Almighty. Because once again, the Almighty is not premeditated. If anything, the Almighty is the most fluent existence that ever existed to ever exist. So those are the tools: meditating, doing things that's going to make me happy without causing harms to other people, of course. And what else that helps me control and manage in order? I wouldn't necessarily say order, but control my depression. Tapping into the things that makes me happy within that moment. And sometimes I could forget to do that. I'd be so deep in the depression, I'll even forget to do that. But like the Almighty would send something to remind me to do that. Like, hey, listen to your favorite song. Oh, yeah. So, and just not ignoring the flow, which is the motion of the Almighty, not ignoring the unpremeditated voice in your head. Do not ignore that when you're in a deep depression. Live through this. This is one of the most, well, the Almighty is the most important tool to use when you're in a deep depression and you want to get out of it. And that's not to say you won't go back through it, but at least you will have a tool that the next time you encounter with depression, you can have a hold on that thing, because now you have a tool that you are actively using. So here's my point. This is another important point, or tool rather, to use when you're in a deep depression and you want to get out of it in that given moment. Go through it. Don't try to ignore it. You feel depression rising, you're like, oh, let me suppress it. The more you suppress it, the more it'll grow like a tumor. When you try to like push down on you can't play around with tumors. And just like you can't play around with tumors, you can't play around with depression. Tumors grow like depression can grow. The more you suppress depression, the more it grows. So when you're going through your depression, and this is self-noted to myself as well, when you're going through it, literally go through it. Don't try to suppress how you're feeling. Feel what you feel, address what you feel, and trace the feelings back, because for every action there's a reaction. So when you are going through that episode, you are literally reacting to something, whether if it's subconscious or conscious, you are reacting to something. Trace that action back to its original source. And that's the importance and key in remedy to meditation. That's why I speak so heavily on meditation. That it took me to let those words so sink in spiritually, for me to say, wow, okay, I have no reason to say, why am I here anymore? Because part of the reason why I'm here on the earth, for me, this is my point of view. I'm quite sure the Almighty point of view of why I'm here is very greater. But I discovered during that moment where I just let go and let the Almighty have thy way. And when I was thinking about like suicide and stuff like that, that's when I felt like a deliverance, like a heavy weight was off my shoulders, when I let go and let the Almighty, my inner voice, flow in a way that I didn't stop it. I didn't say, nah, I don't want to hear that. Like, because sometimes we as souls, we tell ourselves that I don't even want to hear that. You don't even want to hear your own voice. And you have to be careful, because what you're neglecting with yourself, or stopping yourself from saying, you probably could be stopping the Almighty from using your voice to say what needs to be said at that given moment. So during my moment, I didn't suppress the words that was being said. And because I didn't suppress it, because I didn't ignore it, I received healing. And at that, like, during like a month or weeks later, I started to tap into my purpose. And it changed, because it went from, I just wanted clarity. It went from clarity to peace. Until I realized that peace comes and it goes. It serves its course. It have its moments where it's going to be there. It's seasonal. A lot of things is seasonal. Peace is not going to always be around. So once I realized that, I'm like, okay, my purpose is purity then. So I basically went back, because what's equivalent to purity, it's clarity. That's my purpose now. My purpose is to be clear within my reasoning, with how I feel. That's my purpose. My purpose is purity. That's my purpose. And now I'm sticking to it until I come across something greater. It's to be more pure within my communication, within my reasoning, within my intent. And just within my whole existence as a whole, just to be pure. So once I found my purpose, that liberated me as well. It's different layers to liberation based off our experiences, whatever yours may be. So once I realized that once I realized my purpose, I was freed from doubt, freed from bondage, and just like freed from the conflict that I had within myself. I don't really say negative things about myself anymore, or have suicidal thoughts anymore, or anything like that, because I really tapped into the Almighty. I stopped neglecting and ignoring myself. I made a vow to be honest at all given costs. Don't be afraid to say something because, see, from 15 to 22, I had experience with religion. So, and the reason why I'm going to mention that is because I was taught not to question the Almighty. Don't question the Almighty. So that was part of the reason why I suppressed certain things that I wanted to say. I didn't say it. But once I let go of fear, that's when the Almighty really embraced ourselves, and that's really when me and the Almighty became one. It's when I let go of fear. And I became a rebel. And I'm like, okay, everything people tell me not to do, I'm going to do it. And when I tell you, it was more beneficial than harmful. It wasn't harmful at all to rebel at all. Like, I'm still to this day is being rewarded for letting go of tradition, letting go of just of the flesh philosophy, letting go of the flesh philosophy and just flowing with the Almighty and just intertwining with the Almighty. So I got rewarded for that. Like, and my reward is healing, obviously. And once I let go of that fear mongering, because that's truly what it was and what it still is to this day. Once I let that go, I'm like, no, I'm going to question the Almighty. And I made a vow to the Almighty that I will be honest at all given times, even if it's hurt or seem disrespectful or something like that. And no matter my approach, my intent remains the same. I just want clarity. My purpose is... you playing music. Whoa. Okay. My purpose is clarity. So, and I addressed everything I'm saying right now, I addressed to the Almighty. I addressed it. I'm like, this is me, raw and raw and unseasoned. This is me. Take it or leave it. And clearly, the Almighty. I can't. Oh, it's not. Let me not say I can't, because I can. I can explain it, because I wouldn't got this far if I couldn't. A marvelous experience. That's how I got closer. That's how I got out of... That's how the tables has reversed. Control has reversed. What once controlled me, I learned to control it. So I went from having depression control me to me controlling depression. So it's not that depression has completely gone. It's still there. Like, I was depressed a few days ago. I ain't feel like getting up today. But the difference is I can control it now. I'm like, oh, okay, I know why I'm feeling like this. I know why I'm feeling like that. But let me go and solve it then. Because I don't let problems dwell. I solve them right then and there, especially when I got my answers. And that's where prayer come in at. Prayer is requesting. And praying and meditating should go hand in hand. When prayer is needed, because you're not going to... Well, let me not say you. I don't always pray because there are some things I have the answer to. So I meditate. Now, when I'm weary and really feeling to seek for something and need answers, then I pray first, and then I go and meditate, and that's how I get my answer. So if you want to try it. But I'm just telling y'all what works for me. So yeah, when I do pray, I make sure I meditate afterwards because that's how I get my answer for what I asking for. And like I said, my intent is always no matter what changes, my intent, I make sure that that's mandatory, that it remains the same. So I had to make sure that my intent stayed the same. I'm very big on intent. And that's why I don't do relationships and stuff like that. And when I say relationships, I'm being general relationships. I'm not talking about individual relationship, no specific relationship. I'm talking as a whole. But that's another topic. Because, like I tell you, listen, I have so many topics to talk about in episodes, y'all. But yeah, so the intent has to be right, because if the intent is not right, then I'm dipping out. I'm dipping out. I refuse to put myself in positions that does not contribute to my purpose. My purpose is purity, is to have clarification. And to each his own. Everybody varied. Everybody have their own connotations. But see, the thing about that is, I can get to rambling. Y'all already know the rest. I ain't finna do that. But see, people have their different definitions of certain meanings. And that's why it's important to know yourself, know your boundaries. Because if you don't know your boundaries, people gonna walk all over you. So, and you'll really be in a depressive state then. All this noise. Wait till they go by, because I hate when noise try to talk over me. I don't like that. But yeah. So yeah, you'll really be in a depressive state when you don't have no boundaries. Know thyself. Know all parts of you. Know what makes you happy. Know what makes you sad. Know what makes you angry. Know what makes you joyful. Know thyself. Know what makes you jealous. Like, seriously. Knowing yourself really helps with depression. Because at certain points, I did not know myself at all. Far from knowledgeable. What I knew what was repeated to me, what people said to me. Like, I kid you not, growing up, a lot of people called me all type of names, from idiot to dummy. And when I found myself in certain positions that made me feel that way, I'm like, okay, maybe they're right. Maybe they're right. I am dumb. I am illiterate. But at one point, I had to be like, wait a minute. No, I'm not those things. That's what y'all say I am. And I'm going to prove y'all wrong. So when people say negative things to me now, I prove them wrong. And that helps with depression too, because when you're around people that try to bully you or just try to emotionally abuse you, that can cause trauma, and that triggers depression as well. So to prove them people wrong, anyway, to prove those people wrong, it does something to you. To make the effort to prove them people wrong, it makes you feel like you have the power. You control the narrative of you. They don't. Don't let nobody control your narrative. Your book is your book, not theirs. Don't let nobody edit your book. You are not what people say you are. You are what you show and say you are. Not the other way around. So, ownership, accountability, which is equivalent to ownership. Responsibility. Make sure you're leading yourself in the right direction when it comes to responsibility. Make sure you're owning yourself when it comes to accountability. You balance those two things out, that's another way you can control depression. When you going through, call it out. Call it for what it is. Don't try to give it another name. I'm just moody right now. No, it's depression, sweetheart. Don't ignore what you go through and how you feel, because you felt accustomed to the reaction of other people. Because I did that at one point, where when I was sad about something, my mom would say, "Girl, if you don't get over that, go on somewhere. Ain't nobody else sad up in here but you." That's part of the reason why I, just like when I am going through depression, I isolate myself, because I don't have time to hear people say, "Okay, everybody else going through." Don't nobody want to hear that. And it's like, wow, really? That's how you feel? So to prevent from people saying that, I just go away. My misery doesn't love company. So when I'm going through my phases, I isolate myself and I deal with it. Now, I wish I could say I was fortunate enough to have someone to talk to, but I don't. But once again, I don't bicker about it anymore. I say it, I'm thankful. Because through the absence of needing someone, I found that what I truly needed was that one-on-one time with myself. So I'm very thankful for how my life played out. Like I said, I was not always like this. It took experience and observation. And I don't mention observation much, but I want to say this. Experience and observation go hand in hand. One without the other can make you imbalanced and handicapped in a way. Because, and it can make you hypocritical in certain aspects as well, because having experience without observation, or observation without experience, is like saying Italy is a beautiful place and you never been to Italy physically. You might have just looked at Italy on the internet, on just like from images. So please make sure that your observation is aligning with your experience. So what I observe, what I experience, I align it. And I really truly do have the full picture of my life. And that truly has helped me control my depression rather than my depression controlling me. So before I conclude to this episode, I don't usually give words of encouragement, especially when I don't feel encouraged. But once again, I deal with that. I go through it. I don't suppress it. So when I don't feel encouraged, I go back and just look at tweets or statuses that I post that may be encouraging, or quotes that I say from other people. I'm like, yes, just reassurance helps a lot with encouragement. Reassurance. Find your reassurance. Like, remind yourself of what you accomplished over the years, or months, or weeks, or days. Like what you learned new. Stuff like that. But I know I said I don't give words of encouragement like that, but that would be my word of encouragement, is to find that reassurance within your life. What have you accomplished over the years? Any compliments you ever received in life? Like, I'd be a liar if I said I never received any compliment. Like, people have told me I was intelligent even when I didn't even feel like I was intelligent. Students have told me that. And like I said, probably in the last episode, I had teachers tell me, or insinuated rather, that I was stupid, while the students was telling me otherwise. I'm like, wow, so the students can have more modesty than the teachers? Wow. I literally experienced that. So yeah, that would be my words of encouragement. Not fine, but don't ignore the good things that do happen in your life. Embrace that, reflect on that, reinsure yourself. when you are in the phase of depression, when you are, because like I said, there's different, well, may not have said this, but there's different elements to depression, and I mentioned one which is stress, and the music is getting louder. See, he trying to get me copyrighted, y'all. But so the element of depression. The element of depression, stress, worry. I won't necessarily say worry. That can go hand in hand with anxiety. But stress is the only word coming to my mind, so I'm not going to force my mind to stretch itself out. I'm not going to do that. So, yeah, I don't want to drag this, force it to last longer than it's going to last, for as this episode goes. So, yeah, that's what I'm going to leave you guys on. Reinsurance. That's the word of today. Reinsurance. Reinsure yourself that your life matters. You're here for a reason. Whether you know that reason or not, the Almighty know that reason. That's why you live to see another day. That's why the Almighty is consistent in regards of you, in regards of thy presence, inhaling and exhaling through you, which we call breath. So cherish that. If you don't cherish anything else, cherish the fact that the Almighty find fit for you to be here. So that means there must be something greater in stores for you. And if you feel otherwise, make room for greatness. Prepare yourself for greatness. Tell yourself that you're great. By, like I said, reinsurance. Looking over some accomplishments you may have achieved over your timeline of being here on this earth. So yeah, I'm gonna leave y'all with that, and I hope I made sense. See, there I go, being tough on myself. But yeah, so I hope y'all enjoyed, and thank you for sticking around for this 47 minutes. I appreciate y'all. Thank you, and until next time, peace.